Hi, I'm Kat.
And I'm Gabe.
And we're
the Ghouls Next Door. Talk about those focus. Oh, man. All right, this is going to be a good episode. Because we're both loopy.
I'm hiccuping.
All right. So it's still the new year.
Yes.
It's January.
And we are changed forever.
Yeah.
Modified from our original forms into something grander.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet everyone out there, I bet you guys are still really pumped about your New Year's resolution. Why?
I'm broken. I don't know.
Okay.
This new me, I can't control her. All right, continue.
I bet all our ghouls out there are still really pumped about their New Year's resolutions.
I know I am.
Yeah, so we're going to still talk about that kind of stuff.
It's never going away. We talk about it forever. So instead of that, like, new year, new me.
Yeah.
Drop it off in 2 weeks thing. We're going the whole month. So
yeah. So all month
consistent.
We're talking new year, new me. So last month we were talking about monstrous women and how they became monstrous for the better or for the powered.
It's not always the better in the sense of like if you're eating things that are not supposed to be eaten, but
like people.
But better in the sense of like self-power and preservation and, you know, respect.
Yeah. Well, this episode, we're going to be talking about the transformation of your body through surgery, sometimes not always for the better, like we were saying.
Yeah.
We're talking about body modification. So I want to be clear that we ghouls understand that sometimes how we look on the outside does not properly represent who we are inside.
Yes.
So if you use surgery such as body modification to reflect your true self, we're all for it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think freedom to make your body whatever you want is your right as a human.
Yeah. I would say, however, as long as you're not endangering yourself or others, and also do it for yourself, not for someone else. This is your temple.
Yeah, as they said in the documentary we watched, safe, sane, and consensual.
Yep. Yeah.
As you should approach most things in life.
Exactly.
If not all of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of them. All of the things go in safe, sane, and consensual.
Yeah, definitely if you're going to alter your body in some dramatic way, being very deliberate and thinking about it for a while and being very sure that that's what you want and that it reflects who you are on the inside, not who you think the outside world wants you to look.
Yeah, it's just honestly just doing it for a reason that isn't something that's going to drastically change as you go about life. I mean, they say, you got a tattoo, you know that's permanent, right? It's like, yeah, that's kind of the point. It's but you want to make sure that like you do it because of yourself and because of a reason that means something to you, or like even if it's not something like, I know all my tattoos are based on like people I've lost, and that's a way to preserve them forever. That you're doing it, that doesn't have to have a great big meaningful thing happening, but if it means something to you in its own way, it's like you owning your body or you doing it for you. It's important.
And with tattoos, you know, at least there's laser surgery. So if you do have regrets later, you usually can be okay. And sometimes surgeries can be fixed, but a lot of the times they're not. And you have to live with those. We ghouls have minor modifications. So like Kat said, we have tattoos and I have piercings. But there are more extreme versions where people like split their tongues or get boob implants or bigger asses. It's totally fine. But like I was watching Botched when I was home. So my mom has cable so I can watch that stuff. And I was watching Botched, which is a show, and discovered, I discovered that the most popular surgery right now is getting butt implants.
Which does not shock me at all.
Yeah.
I mean, considering like what is considered beautiful today.
Yeah, like Kim K or Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
So
curves.
Exactly. Which is nice. It's a nice change. Yeah. However, with butt implants, what I found was there's this other part of that where they're very dangerous because it uses fat, and the fat that they use can get caught in your veins to your lungs and ultimately kill you. Not just like, oh, I can't breathe. It's like, you're just dead because there's a foreign object in here that shouldn't be here because they took fat from your tummy and put it in your ass.
Yes.
I do that every day by just eating lots of food.
Yeah, and I feel like there's probably like, just because I guess we'll get into later the whole body dysmorphia thing, and that's not saying that everyone who gets that done that's the why they do it, but there's an obsessive element sometimes when you have like this like fixated view of what a certain area of you is supposed to look like, and basically it can get dangerous when you dive into the obsessive end where you're not making decisions that will keep you safe as a person, that could put your life in serious jeopardy or harm, and are based on like what society wants of you instead of what you want for yourself.
Yeah, you definitely want to weigh the dangers. Be sure it's something that you really want. And then also make sure that you are doing it properly. Like you're not going to some
I think that's
back
the biggest
alley
thing.
place or...
Yeah, that you don't go in to like one of those really shady, he puts cement in your butt thing. Because that's like, I think I remember hearing some awful story about a woman who like got like not college or like not silicone or something put in her that was like, it was just like chemicals or like foreign stuff. And like she literally almost died. I don't think she did die, but like it like severely messed up her body and her like life.
Yeah.
In that like she did not go about it the correct way. And
Sounds
went to
like
like a
urban
shady
legend.
back end out of a van or alley or something, you know,
Yeah.
surgeon.
Well, I think if, you know, several surgeons have told you this is impossible or very dangerous, don't just keep going till you find one that's like, all right, I'll do it on the cheap. Just let me record it for my Instagram. Like, no.
Well, that is kind of the entire preface of the movie that we watched, though,
Yeah,
which was a
that's true.
fantastic movie,
Yeah.
despite the fact that, like, wow, it was a time.
Yeah.
Very interesting and stressful.
Yeah. And so we watched American Mary, so we're going to be talking about that in our film section. But stay tuned for some information about this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, facts. We tell you facts. All the facts. Here facts. Still facts. About that spooky stuff. Yeah, spooky stuff.
Facts time.
Yeah.
It's time for the facts.
Talking about those facts.
Time to teach you something. Time to learn you real good.
So listen up,
Yeah.
y'all.
So, body modification. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're doing.
Sure is.
Because I'm sure you guys are modding your bodies for the new year. You're going to be a new you.
Yeah.
Maybe not as extreme as some of the people that we'll talk about, but
Yeah, I mean, I
I'm
guess it's
sure.
just important understanding that body modifications can range. There's a very large version of the range.
Yeah.
There's the small version, which is piercings and like tattoos, which is what we have. And then there's the intense extreme versions that are like chopping off part of you, which is very different. So I'm sure many people will probably be getting like New Year tattoos or like New Year piercings. I know the septum piercing is like really popular. Ear ones. Septum's this?
Yep.
Cool. Nice. I know what stuff is.
Yeah.
I'm
so, body modification is when you change your outer appearance to reflect what you feel like inside, essentially.
Yeah.
It's when you're going through surgery to change, and it's not always drastic surgery like Kat was saying. There are several different kinds of body modification, ranging from more harmless things like piercings, although I'd say genital piercings aren't exactly harmless. But piercings like I have, like on my nose, are harmless and took several...
Dorsal piercing.
barely any seconds at all. And everyone always asks me if it hurt. And let me tell you something. It didn't at all. Like,
Really?
Yeah, like at all.
Interesting.
Didn't even notice. Yeah, but there's more extreme things like implanting or branding. And it's interesting that the surgeons involved are given the name cutters in the
Oh.
community, which is used in American Mary. It's very
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting.
No, that's definitely.
Yeah, so let's start with something simple. So piercings. I'm sure that you Ghoul Scouts are
Yeah.
aware of the history of piercings, or are at least aware that they have existed in many cultures across many years for many a generation. They're just piercings. Like a lot of people have them, and you probably have them yourself. Probably got your ears pierced, or
Yeah. I think it's like usually a coming of age thing. Men and women alike, or, you know, whatever, that you can get piercings when you're a teenager, and that like that's a thing people do.
Yeah. Just getting your ears pierced,
Yeah.
your nose pierced, tongue, belly button, lip, what have you.
Fun fact, I'm not against piercings. I have none
Yeah.
because my body hates me. And I've had like severe allergic reactions to like earrings
Yeah.
or like any kind of piercing or like metals and jewelry in general. So yeah, I can't do any of that stuff because my body's trash.
Yeah.
So I understand why other people want it, because like I used to very much be like, that looks so cool, I want to do that. And then I got my ears pierced and it's like, nope, infected. I'm like, cool. All right, well,
yeah.
I'm normal then.
Well, yeah. So I have piercings, my ears, but they're generally closed because I don't wear earrings. I just need things to stay on, or
Yeah, I know what you
I'll
mean with
lose them
that.
and I'll forget. So, but I bet you guys didn't know that nostril piercings have been documented in the Middle East as far back as 4,000 years. Mom. Just so you know.
Let her know.
And piercings are even mentioned in the Bible. Who knew? I got pretty much all this information from Lightspeed magazine, just so
Fun.
everyone knows that.
I'll have some
But-
fun commentary once we hit tattoos as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, piercings are mentioned even in the Bible. I will say probably not genital piercings though.
Yeah.
No, King
It's-
Albert or
yeah.
Prince Albert or whatever it's called. We
Yeah.
watched a documentary and they showed all the surgeries and my stomach still hurts.
Yeah.
And they showed the penis piercings. And let me just put a nice little question out there to the ghoul community and just ask like why. Like if you have it, if you have a genital piercing, if you have your labia pierced or your whatever, or your nipples even, like why don't you just write us theGhoulsNextDoor@gmail.com and please explain, because I just want to know like what are the
Benefits.
the benefits, and also like how does it work?
Does it like hurt
Does it
all the
snag
time?
on things?
I feel like it would get infected.
Yeah,
or
does
it's
it
like in that
get
movie.
pee on there?
The movie with Cameron Diaz, I think, and the girl gets her
and she has
stuff.
to sing to her because she gets
Yeah.
her the piercing
Gets
stuck
stuck.
in her throat.
Yeah.
and they have to sing to her
That
so it
stuff
goes
was
down.
wild. Oh my god.
I forget what it's called, but some sweet maybe. Anyway, yeah. So if
sweetest
you,
thing.
yeah. So if
Yeah.
you are that person, if you have one of those, no shame. We just really want to know, like, because it's just perplexing.
Yeah.
It's honestly just like, how does it work? What's going on? Is it good? Like,
And
for,
just
like,
how does it
sex
not
and
get
stuff?
infected? It's just
Yeah.
like that's weird that's like my only real question outside of does it hurt is how does it not get infected?
yeah.
Because my skin just gets infected from existence. So like
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could be putting it and stuff and it doesn't get infected.
Yeah.
I guess like you clean it, but like sometimes you have sensitive skin. I just don't get it.
Well,
I guess
if you
those people
did, then
can't
you
do
wouldn't.
that.
Yeah, you wouldn't
All
do
right.
it.
Well,
So
interesting.
moving on to another kind of less extreme would be tattooing. So we discussed tattooing in our episode with our guest Dom. So if you want to get some really in-depth knowledge about tattooing, we have a really great episode about it.
Yeah.
And we also explore Friday the 13th because on Friday the 13th, that's when tattoo parlors tend to have like deals and stuff, like flash tattoos, so you can get some cool stuff. But in that episode, we discovered that Otzi the Iceman was from 3,300 BC, and he's covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a more socially acceptable mod these days, and more people have this. However, there are extreme cases like the Lizard Man or the one guy who like tattooed his eyeballs black.
Yeah. I think face tattoos in general are like still in the realm of like, I guess not mainstream accepted
No, they're
as
getting
much.
there.
They're getting there.
Post
yeah.
Malone.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying like they
That
aren't at
one
all,
weird
but
rap
comparatively, like to like arm and leg and everything tattoos, it's like I think there's still a stigma against face tattoos
Oh yeah,
that exists. Where
unless you're white.
that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, but like arm tattoos and stuff like that, like I as a educator rarely get any. I don't have a lot, but like
Yeah.
I've seen educators who are like sleeves and everything, and there's rarely any comments against it.
Yeah, it's definitely more normalized. Even like You know, I've seen people who are like, oh my God, what about your wedding day and stuff? But I've seen some really beautiful pictures just on Pinterest of like women with tattoos and sleeves and like beautiful dresses, and it looks awesome. So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely getting more normalized. And yeah, I mean, if it's what you feel, your body is a canvas too. Why not use it? And it stays with you forever. People forget that we know that when we get tattoos. We're not like, oh, this is still here. It's years
Like, yeah,
later.
that's the purpose. Like, I know the reason I get tattoos specifically like around people who like I've lost is because like I don't know what the afterlife is, and it means something to me that I have that
Yeah.
on me forever. Like that's part of the motivation. So like I just think it's so funny when people are like, did you know? And it's like, yeah, no, that's the point.
Yeah, same skis. My tattoos also have significant meanings to me and represent people I care about. And you can learn all about that in our episode. So definitely tune in if that's interesting to you. We're going to move on to something a little more unusual.
Let's call it fun.
A little more fun, a little more out of the realm of the usual.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about
Unique.
scarification and branding. So scarification is seen usually amongst dark-skinned people who find tattoos to be kind of pointless due to how much melanin they have in their skin, so they don't show up as much. When I was reading this, it made me think of Fiyero in Wicked, the book version, because the play version, the musical version, has a white guy, and it's incorrect because Fiyero was beautiful, and he had these awesome, beautiful blue tattoos, and he had scarring, and he was a dark-skinned, beautiful man who fell in love with our green goddess, Elphaba, and how dare you, Wicked musical. Anyway, so rant over there. But with scarification and branding, the kind of fear of that is just that it could get really damaged, and it's really kind of like just rolling the die on if your skin is going to be able to handle it and if it's going to heal proper. So like it's not a usual practice these days. You usually just get tattoos. The most recent form of branding I heard was from a CBC podcast talking about Nexium, which is like this cult where they branded the women right next to like their genitals.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, so they like branded right next to their genitals, and it was like essentially branding them as like the sex slaves for the guy who was running it. Yeah, so don't do that. But like other branding, sure, I guess if that's like what you're, but that's like it's hard because it gets real rough, and if it bubbles, like you lose the imagery. Like if it gets infected or anything, like as opposed to like a tattoo, which is a little more easy to care for.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I want to talk about was implanting. So this could be like getting breasts or your booty implanted, but also something like horns in your head. Or what I learned today was a thing called pearling, which
Tell
is
me
in your
about it.
genitals.
Oh,
Put like beads in your genitals. So they're like bumpy.
permanently?
Yeah, like your penis is bumpy.
Interesting.
I don't know. It was on the internet, so I don't know what it's about. So if you, again, ghouls, if you are a person who's pearled or knows someone who's pearled, like hit me up, tell me what's up, what's going on with it, what's the deal. I just want to understand.
I guess the genital end doing things there, that just stresses me out. I mean, to each their own. I am a full firm believer in like freedom over your own body and like do what you need to do to make you feel good and happy about yourself. But like, yeah, it sounds so stressful to me. I want to understand.
Yeah.
So
what I discovered about myself was that there's one type of body modification that is just not cool with me and myself and could never happen. Is just nipples.
yeah.
Just leave nipples alone. It freaks me out. Like, no, I mean, like, you fine. Leave my nipples alone. And don't show it to me.
Is
I don't
anyone
want to
coming
see.
for your nipples, Gabe?
I don't know. Just don't. If you're thinking about it, don't. For like 5 seconds, think about it. I don't want it. That would be the difference between modification and mutilation. If someone touched my nipples wrong, that's mutilated. I think the difference is really consent.
Oh, yeah.
Mutilation is if like you weren't intending for that and it was done upon you and you were not requesting it. but yeah, I would say that
Safe, sane, and consensual, as you said.
exactly. Yeah, so it's safe to say there are many ways to modify your body. You could also, I don't know, go on a diet and work out as part of your New Year's resolution for sure. But maybe you can have more fun.
Yeah, just altering your appearance, I guess, in general is the biggest goal. So if it's getting hair implants, if it's changing the structure of your face, getting lip fillers, it's dyeing your hair is essentially a body modification, and we both do that. Yeah, just changing how you look in either a drastic or subtle way.
Yeah.
It's definitely a real thing.
So moving on to a different type. So body modification is if it's done right. And if you've weighed the dangers and made sure that you're doing this properly and it is exactly what you want, in understanding that there are risks, then it's totally fine. It's within your power and you should, use your temple the way you want to. I think it's totally within your reason. But there are other parts of body modifications or just the perception of your body that could be really damaging. And that's more psychological, which is body dysmorphia.
Yep. Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing about body dysmorphia is that unlike body modification, or I guess how you feel on the inside, putting that out there, is that your image of yourself is skewed to the point where even if you make changes, you don't see them because you cannot accurately see how you look on the outside because of anxiety and I guess external pressures from society and at home, etc., that just make you feel disgusting. So we'll see this a lot in I guess media and television in teenage years. You'll see because usually it's not exclusive to this, but it will transcend into eating disorder or drastic changes to your appearance where maybe you're caking on makeup.
Yeah.
You're really just trying to alter how you look, but then not acknowledging the fact that you still see yourself as what you thought of before in a negative sense. So no matter how much you try to fix it or heal yourself or improve your self-image, you just still have this skewed, altered view of yourself, which makes the whole sane, safe, and consensual end of body modification that impossible because you can change it all you want. You still won't see an accurate portrait of what you look like. But yeah, I guess just in general, I know myself, I had that experience in elementary and middle school and that I always thought I was gigantic.
Yeah.
And I was tiny. It makes no sense to me now. I look at pictures and I was like, why? Why did I think I was so big?
Yeah.
And it's it's not I didn't eat or anything. I just wore extremely large clothing because I was don't look.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. And even if I worked out or lost weight or even wore clothes that I guess fit me better, I still saw, I guess, the size of a giant sweatshirt, which is what I exclusively wore. I had them in all different colors. It was cute, kind of I had a sweatshirt for every day.
Yeah.
But it's just weird how it wasn't until I got older where I just started to have more confidence in my mental state, I guess. They're just seeing myself as beautiful, not in a physical sense, but in an emotional and how I treat people in the world sense. And then that just naturally transformed how I saw myself physically. It was very weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what the solution is. I think it's just developing.
Well, yeah, if
confidence.
You have severe body dysmorphia, then it's important that you get help and that you talk to a therapist and work through those issues that are probably have a core and something that you need to work through. I struggled with it myself in high school. There's a time when I tried to be anorexic and I tried to do those things, but it's I came from a place where you can't really do that, luckily. But I struggled with that kind of stuff and my self-image. And even still, I have moments where I just don't understand. But I do the same thing where I look back and I'm wow, I was really thin. And if anything, I'm kind of disgusted when I look back and I'm wow, I was very kind of sickly and should have gotten some help. And now being more comfortable in my body, you kind of learn to appreciate that. But that's what body dysmorphia is. It's no matter what you look like, you're still seeing something else.
Yeah. And I guess it's also like the whole beauty is in the eye of the beholder thing.
Yeah.
So I know, like, now that I look back, I know exactly kind of why I initially felt the way I did. And it's that everyone else in my family was very skinny. Like, my mom is like tall and skinny. My grandpa was tall and skinny. And I was the only short and like kind of like thick person in my immediate circle and understanding of like what was beautiful. I thought like tall, skinny people, because like the internet and the media said the same thing. And I was like, well, I'm not either of those things. I don't understand. So like, I think mine definitely stemmed at least from there, because I like always felt kind of, one, like I just like didn't belong in my own family because I didn't look like anybody. But like in my own like physical state. But then like, I guess I really enjoy the whole thickness is celebrated now, but I also see like the other end of it where it's like now we're basically shaming skinny people.
Yeah.
Where it's like, can't we just all just be guys? Why? But I think it was definitely necessary to make that shift because it was a time.
Yeah, I think definitely the loving yourself movement that we live in now, we're very thankful for being in. And I think one of the biggest differences between body modification and body dysmorphia is with body modification, you're really trying to replicate what you are thinking of yourself as being. So you perceive yourself to be different from the way that the world has to see you physically. Sometimes that's just like weird, weird modifications where you have like horns on your head, or it could be like genital reconstruction surgery. Like those things are how you identify, whereas body dysmorphia is seeing the person outside and realizing that it doesn't fit in what you perceive the rest of the world wants to perceive you as.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's what the world sees as beautiful instead of what you see as beautiful. Yeah. So like you want to fit a mold, where when you're doing body modifications, 9 times out of 10, like you're doing that to be unique. You're doing that to be more of an individual, to really just like claim who you are and like make a stance on who you are, where like the reverse is you're trying to fit what everyone else is and what society wants you to be. And you're just like kicking yourself, wondering why you don't look like everyone else. Yeah. When honestly, like I think the modification is just really powerful, and I can understand at least on our ends, like why we do it in a minor sense. Yeah. But I do kind of get why, like, it's kind of beautiful in that, like, you're really just taking full claim over who you are and your body as a whole, and not saying you want to be like everyone else.
Yeah. And the fact that we have this technology and we have the ability to do it in a safe way. And it's, you know, and at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what other people think when you're doing it. Sometimes it does get out of hand, and sometimes it is a mix of body dysmorphia.
Because when it gets obsessive, that's like when the biggest piece.
I need this to be...
This part of my body is disgusting unless it's this.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when it becomes this negative impact on you, and when you start putting yourself in danger because of that, that's when, you know, there should be some red flags and people should be like, hey, pause for a minute. I mean, do you, and again, if you feel like it's a possibility that you're looking in the mirror, no matter what you're doing, you're exercising, you're eating right, you're going on cleanses, you're doing all this stuff, and people are remarking that maybe you're losing weight or maybe you're changing very drastically, yet when you look in the mirror, you're not seeing that definitely go out and seek help. Even if, you know, you're like, maybe I'm fine, have someone, you know, with more authority be able to tell you if that's the case.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing that stood out to me was the obsessive end of it. Like kind of in line with like any sort of obsessive anxiety based behavior, is that like you cannot fixate on anything else. Any good qualities you have don't matter, because all you see is the pimple on your face, or like the like fat on your thighs, or like, you know what I mean? Like you can't focus on anything else, and it just becomes an obsessive thing where you can't heal it healthily because you're not approaching it healthily. Is healthily a word? I don't know. It is? Cool. All right. Well, there we go. But I noticed that I was looking on the internet. I haven't seen any plastic surgery results of this, but that the new trend within like body modification world that's like a little interesting / potentially dangerous in terms of like teenagers and young people is the Snapchat and like Instagram filter thing where basically people want to look like their filters all the time.
They
and
want
then it
dog
like
faces.
they just want dog implants in their face. No, but like, you know, big eyes, big
Yeah.
lips, kind of like cartoony, kind of Disney, I guess,
Yeah.
beauty. And that like people's faces just don't look like that. People's eyes are regular sizes and generally, and
Yeah.
you're not going to have gigantic eyes or like, I guess, anime or like Snapchat cute
Level.
baby face
Yeah.
filters. Like you're not going to look like that. And then it's just also like the clear skin thing where they'll just like try to like change the features on their face. But I haven't been able to find any evidence of this.
Yeah. Well, that's
It
a
was
lot
just,
to
like,
say
a
about
thing.
social media and its impact. Even just thinking about like the Kylie Jenner lip challenge and the girls who were like injuring themselves by doing it
Yeah.
to get the big lips. But even just thinking about like what you were saying and how, you know, it was your surroundings that impacted you with your mom and your grandpa. Like thinking about like even in Asian culture where women are going through dramatic plastic
Yeah.
surgery to look more Western, so to look more like Americans. So, you know, getting these eye surgeries so that they'll be bigger and that they have like more lids and then like all this like extra kind of parts to them so that they can conform to what they are perceiving as beautiful, which is not them. It's
Yeah.
not the people around them, unfortunately. And there are some horror stories in that in itself.
Yeah. And I think just like social media in general is like, not to say that we weren't already very about face and surface things, but it's just, if we're saying beauty is in the eye of the beholder internally and externally,
Yeah.
the way we present ourselves in the world is stressful. Like everyone's always trying to like put this image of themselves out into the world that isn't accurate or like an actual depiction of who they are and like being idolized for such, which I mean, I guess you could say when we were younger, it was magazines
Yep.
and like AOL articles, you know, you know what I mean? Like weird
Yeah.
kid stuff that like, but I feel like it was less prevalent because we didn't have smartphones in our pockets. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of pressure today on people to look a certain way or present themselves a certain way in order to fit a cookie cutter ideal of what is beautiful and what is accepted. Not to say that that didn't exist before, but I think it's a little bit more in your face because it's in your pocket and literally everywhere you look and you cannot escape it. It's all the time. Than it used to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I like
agree.
body modifications in that way
Yeah.
because you're pushing away from that. You want to be unique and different, and that's cool.
Yeah. Again, being unique and not conforming. Beauty
Yeah.
is in the eye of the beholder, and you're the beholder if you're looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
So
Think you're beautiful. We think you're beautiful.
you are beautiful in every single way.
Films. Yeah, films. Yeah, films. We watched some films. Now let's talk about those films. And all that spooky stuff. And all that spooky stuff.
All right, so we watched some stuff.
We did.
Now let's talk about those films. So, yeah, so we watched the body modification horror movie known as American Mary.
And let me tell you, it was
Great.
great.
Yeah.
Please see it. Like, I mean, if you're not a gore fan, it's okay. Just like watch through the squints of your fingers and put them over your face. It's fine.
Yeah.
Watch this movie. It's so good. Like everything is great about it. There's parts that like could be better, but I loved it. Like I thought it was a great movie. I can't believe I'd never heard of it before. I was mad that I hadn't heard of it before. It's very good.
Yeah, so this is so American Mary is from 2012. And so it was a part of Fright Fest, which is awesome and we're totally about because of who we are.
Let us go.
So American Mary is following a young woman. So with the allure of easy money, Mary Mason, a medical student,
Very different. Mason.
Mary Mason, a medical student, jumps into the world of underground surgeries, which ends up leaving more marks on her than her so-called freakish clients. So, yeah, she is a med student who is struggling financially, which totally can relate. School's
life.
tough when you didn't
trying
come
to get
from
your
money.
dreams and you don't have a lot of money for it. And you see all these unappreciative little jerk faces, and then, cut them up. Just kidding. What?
Yeah, well, so she runs into some issues right at the beginning. We're made aware that she is having financial problems. She's missing her deadline. Her phone is shut off, and she, gets her way to get it back on. She has her nana is like her only family members checking in on her and being concerned.
And she's like she seems like an immigrant from outside of the country. She mentions at some point, it just suggests that like she doesn't have a lot of family and that like she is kind of on her own doing stuff.
Yeah. And so she immediately thinks of ways to alleviate the pressure of this financial crisis and decides to pursue stripping. Yeah. Because she's got a hot bod. Why not use it for financial gain? Yeah. It's hers. It's her temple. She can use it for how she wants to use it. And it's empowering because she chose to get her through medical school. So she decides to become a stripper. She goes to do an audition. And while she's there, she gave him her resume, which clearly states that she's more equipped to be a doctor. Yeah. And there's an emergency. There's someone who needs surgery, and it's got to be secret because they're in a crime syndicate because it's a strip club. So she fixes this guy. She gets like $2,500. And then
I thought it was 5,000. Am I wrong?
Maybe it was 5,000.
I feel like if I had to perform impromptu surgery, I'm not doing that for anything less than $5,000.
Yeah, it was probably 5,000. My bad.
How dare you?
She does that, and then how she gets kind of lumped in with this is that she encounters a woman who has had a lot of surgery in order to look like Betty Boop. She talks a lot like Marilyn Monroe. She's supposed to be this like dainty woman, and she's exactly supposed to look like Betty Boop. And so this stripper finds her information due to her resume and requests that she does surgery on her friend who has found that no other surgeons will do this for her. So there's probably a good reason, but she needs $10,000 and that's what they're offering. So why not?
It was 10,000 for the surgery and 2,000 just to show up.
Just to show up. Yeah. So yeah, of course. And what I found and what I enjoyed was this idea, like I totally would have watched more of just Mary being a body mod person, like underground and the different people that she would come up against. Like I think it would be really cool to see the people that she encounters. Yeah. And there was like a quick montage of it because she becomes kind of important because she did such great work. And so for this woman who wanted to be a real doll, so they took off her nipples and sewed up her vagina so she wouldn't have any sex parts. And so
I will say, I understand now why men react so intensely to that package movie, which I mean, I reacted intensely as well, but it was different because it was a penis. Seeing the bits of Lady Time just falling on the floor. I understand now.
My nips.
It was so stressful.
Don't go for the nips.
Literally, because I was just like, oh my God, my own body. Like, Yeah. But yeah. And she like basically did the surgery and like no one else would.
Yeah.
And like
and she did it well.
And she was like really happy with it and like felt beautiful
and felt
with
powerful.
The results. Yeah.
Like Mary felt powerful in that she had this ability to give this person what they desired. Yeah. Which made them feel whole. Right. And it clearly was something to better herself. It wasn't for anyone else. It was for her own desires. And so what if she doesn't want to be sexual? Yeah. Yeah. It's all right. But tragedy strikes because she's studying to be a surgeon, and the other surgeons are male, and they invite her to a very sketchy party that they didn't want any of the other student surgeons to hear about.
Just so
and she
many
did
red
not
flags
ask.
that were so stressful.
She didn't ask. And then she wore this lovely dress that the live doll lady gave her, which is beautiful, and showed that she would have money. So she wore it for status. But this party was super sketchy from the get-go. Like, so uncomfortable. And it definitely was made that way. And as anyone else you know, like not to drink, and that if people are encouraging you to drink as much as they were in this creepy way and saying things and calling themselves cutters, which is like inaccurate because they were just regular surgeons.
Yeah, there were just so many, like, I guess it was playing upon that thing I guess Paranormal Activity does with like found footage where like you're seeing stuff that she's not.
Yeah.
That is just like subtle and in the background, and you're like, oh wait, no. Leave.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like, oh my goodness, we just saw this half naked girl get taken into a room in the back, and you're wondering what the heck's going on there.
Yeah.
Before she even takes a sip of a drink. That's like the first thing you see. And like you and me
But
both,
she
you were
doesn't
like,
see
wait
it.
a minute, what?
Yeah.
And then
There's no other
it
women
just
at this
gets-
party. It's just creepy men. So obviously the
very
next
stressful.
step is that she does get raped, and it is filmed, and the guy is awful. And it's drawn out. It's pretty drawn out. And just like uncomfortable, and it really serves well to kind of give that motivation for her next steps, because you really feel it. You're, you know, succumb to her own trauma. So what I was impressed with, and you as well, I believe, because I think you said it, was how quickly she decides to enact revenge. It's like instant. Like she comes home from her pseudo walk of shame. It's more like a walk of like tragic.
Yeah, her
horror.
response is not like, I'm going to go cry or anything. Not that there's it, like how you handle your trauma, you do it. Like,
Yeah.
but like she is ready to fight like almost instantly. Like she comes home and you see her like kind of shakily walk to the table, but then she like flips it. She flips the table and then like finds the guy who finds people and like
Yeah, in the strip club.
in the strip club.
The guy who owes her because she fixed up his man, like his shady man who needed a surgery, and then gets this surgeon professor man, and she decides to change. She's dropped out of med school, and she's going to take up this being an underground surgeon for body modification. And she needs some practice because she's been practicing.
So good.
You know, she in the whole film practices with turkeys. Mm-hmm. And so Catherine Isabel is the star of this film. And she apparently went to medical school to research her role as Mary. And she also learned to suture a turkey all by herself. You, if you're watching this, are probably being like, oh, why is she so familiar? Because we felt that way. It's because she's actually also the star of Ginger Snaps, which we talked about last week. So it comes full circle. But she taught herself. And so she's like, you know, she's always practicing on turkeys. Now she's going to practice on the real thing. And so she's going to do a lot. She does a tongue splitting. She removes ears, she removes limbs, she does genital mutilation, all this stuff. And it's mutilation because he does not want it. But then she uses that to create pictures. She takes pictures so that she can do those surgeries IRL on people who are more willing for these things.
Yeah, no, I mean, that scene in of itself is just so great. I don't even remember what song she plays while it's happening, but it's like, not as like, I don't know. It reminds me of the American Dad where Roger the alien is basically preparing to remove someone's kidney, or I guess like mutilate this kidnapped person's body while listening to Hip to Be a Square.
Yeah.
It's like too hip to be a square.
Yeah,
It's like
I
really
hate
hype
him.
music to like destroy someone. So it was just like, it reminded me of that. And it could have honestly been the reverse where that scene was inspired by this scene in the movie. That there's just like really like kind of not stressful, regular, happy music that I think plays like it multiple times. And she's going in to like mutilate him. And like, she does it in like the most, like, she's just such a force.
Yeah.
I just remember being like so in awe of like her strength, which I mean, she's doing something kind of like very much illegal and torturous to another human, which is not something you should, I guess,
but the
maybe
parts where she's doing all right. Like if she didn't
admire
do
it,
that, like if she hadn't been raped and she just had, like she realized that it was money that she could get from doing these, and then like continue to talk to Betty Boop.
Yeah, I think
Beatrice.
she still would have gone that route, which
Yeah, but then she would have been doing good work, you know, and she wouldn't have
Yeah.
become murderous in any way.
yeah,
Because it just becomes like a snowball effect where she has to like cover up this and cover up that. But
and I think
this,
she just loses her sense of humanity, like
Yeah.
as she's going through. Like it's not even through the body modification; it's like mixed with like I guess the numbness that comes from cutting people up and doing that kind of stuff. But then also just like the brutality that was put on her, that like she's returning it and then some
yeah,
over a long period of time. Like she's like, you do not mess with me. She gets very cold.
yeah. Well, she goes from the first surgery. Once it's done, she goes home, immediately like grabs a bat and she just sits on the couch because she doesn't even know like how to react. And then the second surgery, she comes home and she throws up immediately. After that, she's listening to music and she's totally fine. She's doing whatever she wants. She's
Well,
like
yeah, she's numb to it. She's telling
it.
people that their husbands died and stuff. Like no emotion. And like, it was interesting to just see her transformation even without the element of the rape scene.
Yeah.
Like before that, she was already on her way to like being like a cool, collected, mess you up person. Like even in like a good kind of way where like you just don't mess with her. She's tough and on it. And I guess the rape scene, I guess, took whatever was left of her innocence.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
What's really interesting with the film is that the song Ava Maria is played several times.
Hitman song. I know that's not what it's from. That's like not what it is, but that's what I think of.
Well, the
Hitman Blood Money.
beginning, when you first hear it, it's very rough and it's just like a very rough kind of version. It's kind of off a little.
Yeah.
The middle one is a little more like maintained. And then the finale one is like a big masterpiece of Ava Maria. So it's essentially like her journey as being this surgeon, starting out as a student who doesn't really know what they're doing, to starting to get kind of profit and finding your niche, into becoming like a master surgeon that's rolling in the dough. But this
she was
is
such a force.
yeah. So I would say, so last week we talked about Jennifer's body and we argued about the feminist film aspect of it, and even talked about a little bit about Ginger Snaps and how that might be a little more feminist. But even still, it was like how it fell short. With this one, I would say it's a little closer to being more feminist, in that, you know, a lot of it is her choice. But again, we're at this point where it's like we have to do mutilating horrible things in order to get revenge, when she could have been this amazing, powerful force without having had dealt with that.
Yeah. But then it would not have been a horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like that's, I think, one of the only negatives, besides having the one strip club owner who is constantly fetishizing her and imagining her as a stripper. She never was. It's like, what is he doing? And it really takes away. Like, I mean, visually it's nice. You see her like stripping and then she's covered in blood and that's like, oh, spooky. But do we need it? No.
Yeah. I mean, we just didn't really need him. And he put her in jeopardy by like getting that other guy.
Yep.
They weren't even like, they were like kind of thinking it might be her, but they
as
like,
soon as they were both the professors are indicated in this, they both go missing, then it's like, okay, there's clearly a connection here and it has to be these girls, and we found the tapes now.
stupid guy.
Dumb. She should have ran away with them though. However, so this is created by the Soska sisters, who are known as the Twisted Sisters. Fun fact, their parents remortgaged their house in order to raise money to finance this film. It's very nice.
I was told the budget was really small. I looked it up. It said it was $2,500. And that a lot of people worked as volunteers.
That's crazy. This is a great film for something like that.
And that they got away with a lot of gore considering how small the budget was.
Well, all the effects were practical, so that's pretty awesome. And it was shot in 15 days.
That's wild.
And like I said, she went to medical school and she like started suturing turkeys herself to find out. But the Twisted Sisters, or whatever, Soska sisters, also have a show called Elevator, which I hate only because of them. They're in the film as the two Twisted Sisters themselves, or whatever, who get horns, and then they also want to switch their left arms with one another, which is really quirky. But IRL, they're like the goth girls, and they have this stupid show called Elevator where people get on an elevator and each floor is full of spooky stuff, and it's like, do you survive? The worst part was their commentary, Because they're in there and they're like, oh, we're going to get them here. And, oh, don't fall into our trap. Like, I bet they're going to do
I feel like I saw this show.
It's the worst. Don't watch it.
Without the commentary, was it good? Because I feel like I remember the show. It was like a competition and they got all scared.
Yeah.
And they had to run all through the rooms and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. It was just them talking and popping
I feel like I remember watching that and like, I don't even remember them talking, but I remember that part
nice.
of
I
it.
wish I could forget. But they did a really good job with this. And although we're not called the Twisted Twins or whatever, we are the Ghouls and we're spooky too.
Yeah.
We're going to make spooky films. This
trying.
is really great and you should definitely watch it. I hate how
movie.
underrated it is.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a contender for a feminist film. And I'm glad we're starting out the year with two interestingly powerful female energies.
Yeah,
we
I'm
got
digging
Mary
the whole
and
monstrous woman thing. I'm like, for
she didn't even
it.
have to be a demon.
Yeah, she was just
boss
a regular
bitch.
person. She was just kicking ass, taking names, and vengeance. I was all about it. I was just like, yeah, I mean,
Kicking
if anything
ass,
bad happens
making
to me,
bigger
I'm ready.
asses,
Teach me
taking
how to
away
suture some
asses.
turkeys. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, feelings. Yeah, I said feelings. Let's talk about feelings. Okay. And all that spooky stuff. I love spooky stuff.
Okay, so if you like it, it's Eye of the Beholder, which is you. So we came to the conclusion of. And
Yeah, don't be like Twilight Zone. You gotta do it right. See yourself as beautiful.
Don't go with the pig nose fear of that world. Everyone watch that episode.
That's great.
Season 2, episode 6, Twilight Zone.
Cool.
Got you. And if you didn't like it, it's Bloody Mary, which is what she should have been named. I don't know why it's called American Mary. They're Canadian. And
There's literally no reason.
there's no
Everyone in
there's
there
no
is
time.
Canadian.
Yeah, why are they? Why? And that's what her name is, Bloody Mary, on the internet. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Soska sisters, what's up? What's happening?
Maybe I think
Let's
just
fight.
probably Bloody Mary was already taken, and they didn't want to take away from the fact it wasn't like one of the,
Would've been better.
Bloody Mary was supernatural.
Yeah, it's not like Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, she's bloody and her name is Mary, but she's messing people up.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's called American Mary though. So I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Makes no
What are you
sense at
trying
all.
to say about Americans?
Maybe
Soska
she's saying
sisters?
Canadian Mary. She's Canadian. Mary.
Yeah, it's not as good.
Yeah, I
So-
guess I can understand that. And
So for the topic of body modification,
beauty's in the eye of the beholder if it's done right.
yeah,
Like if you're doing it for
good
the right reasons, you're not trying to be.
Yeah, body dysmorphia is Bloody
Crazy.
Mary.
Yeah.
Get some help. Don't do it. You're beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
the
like
way you are.
you gotta fix your mind for your body to be good.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And if you're safe, sane, and consensual, body mod.
yeah, and just like in life, safe, sane, and consensual should be like
Yeah,
your
that's a
motto for like just life.
Life, yeah, absolutely. Then Bloody Mary would have been like real cool. So, and then also for the film American Mary,
100% beauty.
aka Bloody Mary.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It was a
100%.
fantastic movie. I'm upset that I didn't know about it sooner. I'm upset that it doesn't get enough recognition. That like it's just like not something people are just talking about. I thought it was a great film in many ways. There was only like 2 flaws and that were like big enough to like talk about.
Yeah, it was decent. I really
was
feel
good.
like spoilers, but she dies in the end and it's sad. But
Yeah, I
I
didn't want her
really,
to die.
I thought it would have been awesome if they panned up and she wasn't there. I hope there's an alternate ending and she's just gone and we can, because she had so much money.
It would be
You didn't have to
so
be
dope
here.
if
And
she just
saved herself.
Saved herself. That would have been so cool. I'm mad also that didn't happen.
Yeah,
like she
That was-
fucking.
I feel ripped off.
She sewed herself back together
Yeah, that's power
while
move.
like bleeding out. It was so rude that she died. I'm actually very upset about that. So in that
Soska
end,
sisters,
she should have lived.
come at us.
She should have lived.
We're the Ghouls and we want to fight. Remake this movie.
Just
call
give
it
us
Bloody
that
Mary.
ending. Just make
give us
that
a better
ending.
ending. We'll make it. Again, if your New Year's resolution is to rate and comment on iTunes, that's great. Or to subscribe and
Please
contribute
do.
to our Patreon so that we can make cool movies like this. And we'd really appreciate
Just make sure
it.
you're safe, sane, and consensual. Grab your friend's face, kiss it. You know, safe, sane, and consensual.
We're not keeping this up. It's not going to be our motto for the rest of the world.
I understand. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, Body Mod is in in a way. Get some piercings, get some tattoos.
Do what you want.
Maybe get
you know
horns
Do
from your
what you
head.
want. Do
Maybe
what you want with your
pierce
body.
your penis. I don't know.
Don't.
I just don't want to see it. Like,
Yeah.
one, I don't want to see your penis, probably.
Yeah.
But also, I don't want to see the surgery in which your penis is pierced.
That's fair.
I'm going to be real. And I probably don't want to see that. I've
I
realized
don't want to
that
see the
I
lady
have,
version either.
like, a limit, and it's seeing that as gross.
To you, yes.
Yeah.
I
didn't
don't want
know.
to see any version of it. I just feel like that is for whoever you love. If they're about
All
it
of them.
and you're about it, cool.
Yeah.
I want my stuff to be the way it is now. And just kind of leave it alone.
No dysmorphia. That's
Yeah.
good. Well, also, just like, remember to write us and let us know. If you have any
Yeah, it's
body
fun to know.
modifications at all, totally write us. Let us know what it's about. Because we love to hear. Don't
Or on that
don't
end,
like
yeah.
send us pictures though.
I think it would just be
Unless it's
interesting
like on your face.
for like, I know we say that a lot, but like if you feel really passionately about it and you want people to understand that world and culture better than we're able to express because we just aren't deep in it, I think
Yeah.
it would just be interesting. Come talk to us. Not
Yeah.
like maybe probably not in person unless we like kind of know you, but if so, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, if you're cool
Email
enough,
us.
maybe we'll interview you and you can be on a Patreon episode.
Yeah.
So don't get married.
They'll eat your kid.
And Happy New Year still.
Yeah.
Happy first
Continue
month of the
to
year.
see yourself as beautiful.
Because you are beautiful. Okay, I can't keep singing
All
that
right.
song. They're going to be asking for royalties.
That's fair.
Sorry, Christina. Okay. Bye.
Bye.